rights, freedoms are needed, and environmental support is also required. And then we have Gestalt approach in psychology, which focuses on the perceptions. Basically, they focus on the perceptions, and they say that whole is greater than the sum total of the components. So holistic approach, we can say it as. So these are the different currents in the psychology, and accordingly, different psychologists pertaining to these branches gave us personality theories. And we have also seen the trait theories, which focus on the structure which is relatively permanent, which is relatively consistent, which can be measured, which can be predicted. These are the theories we focused and we studied. Now we are onto the cognitive field. Cognitive approach says that they're all nothing to do. Only one thing, that is cognition, that matters, that drives our personality. This is also internal content. Basically, internal processes, cognitive processes, like it starts from the attention and perception, and then memorizing, and then recalling, problem solving, analyzing, and then troubleshooting, creativity. So many issues, so many processes are there in that. Now, Kelly belongs to the branch of cognitive approach. Unit number 18. It is cognitive approach that driven him to give the theory of personal construct theory. Let us see his background so that you can easily understand the flow is thought structure, also is motivations, and also is the theoretical perspective. We can easily remember. Kelly is focused, is a master's degree from educational psychology. Then he went to study the sociology. Then he studied and got PhD in psychology. Before this, he had a degree in physics and mathematics. So just like the person who gave 16 PF, Cattell, he also focused more on the mathematics and the sciences. You will find the equations or mathematical notations more in his personal theory. So mathematical approach is there. Even next theory, what we are going to discuss, also gave the unified theory. That Levin's theory is also having a lot of equations, just like Cattell gave a lot of equations. Okay, so this is the scientific temperament approach that made him to focus more on the measurement and motivations for our personality development. Then he came across an educationalist who gave a philosopher and a psychologist called Johann Herbert. He is known for his mathematical psychology. So this mathematical psychologist called Herbert influenced him. He is also from educational background. He contributed to the academic discipline and pedagogy. He, as our hero George Kelly, also studied got the post-graduation and in the educational psychology. So now he combined his educational psychology and also mathematical psychology. Then, while doing job, he had a very close friend who is a drama artist. The way he used to act, the AI used to conceal his own personality and exhibit the roles and the dressing pattern, all this. He got the idea of how a person behaves. That also influenced. He himself told that. That led to the concept of constructs. That means he imagines a type of behavior to be dramatized on the stage. So what is that? That he calls as the construct. So he predicts how a person should act on the stage according to his role, according to that role's behavior. That according to that he will exhibit facial expression and leg movements and dialogue worship. So that and mathematical psychology and educational sociology contributed him a lot. So that led to his personal construct theory. This is also called as personal construct theory. This construct is nothing but a psychological process by which you you get an idea or a guess or a prediction or estimation of how one should behave. That he extended to individual person. Then as a mathematical psychology, as psychologist influenced by mathematical psychologist, he also as a science graduate, he went on to say that every person is a scientist. If you see educational psychology, Dewey told that every child is a psychologist because child wants to explore in the nature, experiment in the nature, and get exposure in the nature. So every child is a scientist. So every school should be a lab-like school. This is the concept given by whom? Just I told Levy. Dewey Levy. So now we come back to the other influence on him is Rotor. Rotor is also cognitive social. He focused on the cognitive social learning, just like Bandura. People say that even before Bandura, Rotor gave his theory similar to it, with there are certain differences between them. We let us ignore presently. So Rotter and Kelly worked together in Ohio University in America and jointly developed clinical psychology curriculum and program. So as a cognitive psychologist, cognitive social learning psychologist, Rotter also influenced Kelly and Kelly also influenced Rotter. These are all the backgrounds. So during the World War, he worked with the defense system as a psychologist, especially for the Air Force, for training to the pilots. There he got a lot of exposure about the psychological treatment and analysis. So depending on that, let us see what are different content we are going to discuss under this theory. I will give one brief synopsis of what is this theory. He says that our life is a continuum. It is a continuous movement. So our personality is also continuous movement. How that momentum from past to present to future, how it goes. Then he says, there is uncertainty. So our goal, he says, that our goal is to reduce this uncertainty in the future so that we can live peacefully or happily. So for him, the goal is to make the future less uncertain. How to make the life less uncertain? How then means we have to predict. We have to take a call or estimation that something, a person is going to behave like that, his opponent is going to behave like that, wife is going to behave like that, or event is going to happen like this. This type of predictions will be there in everybody's life. Since morning to sleep, we will be going on doing this type of estimations or predictions about others' behavior and worldly events. So how to predict it? Then, as a scientist, he focused more on the scientific research What are the basic elements of scientific research? We study the past history on which we are interested and previous literature, and then we identify probable variables, independent and dependent variables, and try to make a hypothesis. Hypothesis is possible, probable outcome of an event in this case. So that hypothesis every person will make in their life. He says that every person predicts something of others. Accordingly, he modifies his behavior. He creates his behavior, alters behavior, changes his behavior, drops behavior, adopts new behavior. This is what he said. So every person, because he makes an hypothesis and guess or estimation or prediction of others behavior, that he tests whenever the opportunity comes as a present moment. When one faces particular event or particular person, then he compares, validates. My prediction is that he is a good person. My prediction is a talkative person. My prediction is a reserved person. My prediction is open-minded. He is cruel. He is cow-like boy. He cow-like person. He is a cruel person. He is a destructive person. He is a violent person. Once you face particular person with your predictions or guess, you validate during this interaction with him. That is nothing but during that process you collect data. That data you will process and analyze and say your guess or your guesstimation, guess plus guesstimation or prediction is tallying or not. If it is tallying, you confirm it, saying that you put that into your mind. It becomes your part of your personality, saying that particular person is a good person or etc. etc. And repetitive exposures will confirm that one. And any changes in the other person's behavior, we also make our hypothesis changed. And in an organization of these predictions called as constructs, we call them as constructs. They are all psychological processes of predicting. There are also cognitive processes. Please remember, cognitive processes, psychological process in the mind. We develop that hypothesis. So this hypothesis we will be validating always. It is part and parcel of our life, everyday life also. Coming back, this is essence of. So there are there are estimations or predictions, and we call them as constructs. During the interaction or exposure or involvement, we get the data and confirm or validate whether our estimation is correct or not. And then accordingly, we alter our constructs. We also arrange different related constructs. Depending on these constructs, we make friendship with others. We oppose others. We won't make friendship with others. So all our life activities are determined by this. That is what he says. So now going back to his, now he opposed three things: Freud's psychoanalysis, behavioralism's SR or stimulus response relationships, and motivational theories, inner and external motivations. He opposed all these three. Now he wanted an alternative personality theory. Let us see what he says. For that, he based on the construct he called as personal construct. So this personal construct we will discuss. For that, there will be a predominant assumption called as fundamental postulate that everybody is a scientist. He predicts, he validates, interprets, organizes these through the scientific temper. That's why he calls that postulate as human being is a scientist, is the basic postulate. Then we in-depth study about fundamental postulates and also personal constructs. Personal constructs are nothing but the tools to predict that we will discuss in depth. And then he gave certain rules. Just a minute. Sorry, there was a disturbance. That's why. Yeah, thank you for bearing. So now we are discussing about Kelly's theory, and the what we are going to discuss is the key concept we are going to discuss. One is fundamental postulate based on the science, the scientist concept. Second one is how personal constructs are created, what is the process of it, how they are altered. For that, certain rules like propositionals as given, 11 corollaries to make construct and organize the construct is here. One is fundamental postulate. Second one is how the personal constructs are, what are the meaning of it, how it is useful, how it drives the personality. That we will discuss. Then what are those 11 rules which are highly useful for everybody's day-to-day life. Then how to alter these constructs, that called as constructive alternativism, how to change it. Under that, there is a cycle called as CPC cycle. We will discuss that. Then when we face a new situation, that construct is not there, a new person we are facing, new situation we are facing, an interview-like situation facing, we don't know anything about them. So how the transition takes place, that he calls as dimensions of transition in case of new situations with the new persons or new events, new objects. Then he says what is good health, psychological health, and what is bad psychological health or psychopathology, how to assess it, what is the therapy it developed, we will see. And at the end, we will do the evaluation of the theory. So now we have seen, according to him, the human nature is view of human nature. All human beings can develop their own theory as a scientist. We have told them we always predict about what's going to happen. So, sometimes it becomes an habit-like situation because of repetitive activities and the events. Also, and then second one is everybody has a choice under the influence of humanism. He says this nobody decides it, forces it. He knows what is good for him. He chooses the alternative actions. So for every construct, there is alternative constructs. And he decides which one to opt. This is part of human nature. Third one is he always not only predicts, but also validates. And then if they are correct, he takes up. If they are incorrect, he will drop it. There could be problems. What type of problems are there? How it leads to psychopathology? We will see at the end. This is the human nature. Everybody can develop his own theory as a scientist for this. And he decides. Second one. Third one is there is prediction, validation or testing, and rejecting or accepting. Then postulate. What is the basic postulate says that an intellectual hypothesis every person devise to hypothesis means prediction about what? A particular event or a negotiation or a person or object. So after interaction, we try to interpret it, validate it, and give a meaning to that particular object or event. So once we form an event as a scientist, that becomes a personal construct. Personal construct is an intellectual hypothesis, and it is a tool to confirm, predict, and confirm. Then once you accept it, there is no rule that every construct, whatever the decision we take at the end, are correct. They are perfect. So there is nothing like perfection. We need to change it according to the new situations. So new demands, new goals, new needs. So it says that these constructs can be altered. That is called as constructive alternatives. So we are directed by this construct as a personality. Otherwise, a person's processes are psychologically channeled by ways in which he anticipates the events. These are the basic postulates. So now we know that people are scientists. This postulate explanation, people are scientists, and Kelly suggests that people perceive and hypothesize or guess, interact and collect data, and analyze. That is nothing but test. And they test against the reality of the daily life. What we form an idea that is, or a thought that is on the world. World is real. That is objective. The idea we form are subjective. On the objective reality, we form the subjective thought or opinion. So now he says that why ways of anticipating in the life events is that this fundamental postulate will help you to predict. This is a psychological process or a cognitive process, because personality is continuously flowing. It is a momentum. That's why the decisions are also continuous. The constructs are also continuous. So these continuous keeping or altering constructs will make your personality, also make you to anticipate further. So these are the anticipations about that. He says that this entire focus of his personality theory is on future, but he takes help of the past and the present, but his focus is more on the future, because life is continuous momentum, future is uncertain. Aim is to reduce the uncertainty. The goal is reduce the uncertainty. For that, there is an assumption that human beings make the postulates. Human beings makes the constructs or predictions. Depending how he makes a prediction, depending on the past experiences. So he filters the already gained experience on a particular object or stimuli and construct the possible outcome, or predict the possible outcome. And he tests when? In the present. Whenever that opportunity comes, person comes, event comes, or that particular stimuli comes, in that present moment, you will test it and confirm or reject or accept. So it will be useful for your behavior in the future. And basic postulate says that everybody just man is a scientist, and they follow the scientific research process. And this process of predicting through hypotheses and interacting and information, gathering the information and testing, comparing with what you predicted, what is the outcome, the actual real outcome, and you try to match it. Match with your prediction, match with the outcome. In everyday event, whether I'm telling the class, so my prediction is that everybody is 100% putting their mind here. Otherwise, out of 500 students, at least 100 persons might be attending the class. But what is the reality? That reality I compare, and then as my experience goes on, I try to come out with a figure that not more than 1% of the student attend the online classes. This is the first is the hypothesis and the prediction, and then reality. From that reality, getting the information and matching with the real outcome and the prediction, and that we will be interpreting, then we will be controlling our behavior depending on that particular scenario. So this type of imposing this template matching, this process is called as template matching. Please remember that. Template matching is done for every event and with every negotiation. So always remember that if I get to have to predict, there will be two things, one positive, one negative. Always there will be good, bad, friendly, unfriendly, tall, short, ethical, unethical, liar and honest, intelligent, stupid, talkative, quiet, reserved, open, like that. So then the overview is that the cognitive process or cognitive approach of Kelly says that human beings are scientists and they always adopt thought process or cognitive process, a goal-oriented cognitive processes, and then they decide by testing that estimation or the prediction and form a construct. That construct guides our behavior. And not only we construct our behavior, it helps to predict the behavior of other person. This is in essence. Now we will go deep into the. So now we personality construct. This theory, when he propounded, so initially there was no much response because he gave it during the days of the behavioralist therapy for approaches. After some time, when cognitive approach is gaining ground, his theory got immense attention worldwide. Lot of research is there and highly useful for changing them. He had given a cognitive therapy, his own cognitive therapy, very easy to implement by everyone at their homes and modify our beliefs or values or constructs. So now he says that world is a momentum continuously changing. We have discussed that one. He says that there are certain people who are identical in their constructs. There are certain people who are not identical. Most of the time, no two individuals have same construct. That means same person. So in order to cope up with the realities, template matching one does. This pattern of matching is, and finally coming out with a construct is called as personal construct. So in personal construct, there will be expectations, there will be perception. From that perception, we will be making expectations on the behavior of others. Construct is nothing but a representation of understanding the world and possible outcome. It also includes a creative capacity. So it is not completely from the fact-based, but out of blue also it can happen. So there is a creative capacity in the personal construct formation. Then each person means it is idiographic, not idiographic means individual, unique set of construct. Nomothetic means group. When group comes, you try to compare. Norms will be there. It is not a nomothetic, but idiographic construct formation. So how, once you construct, the constructions are like this. He says that helping is good, disaster is scary, and I am good at maths. Eating lunch at 12 is good. These are different types of concept. Then how you test them? You test with the experience cycle. Experience cycle, human beings behave like a scientist we have already discussed. And then that hypothesis is verified with the collected facts, and then analyzing them. Though who is doing this experiment? Every person himself is doing the experiment. So, and then that is getting the information and is tallying or matching. Then when it is confirmed, it will become part of the theory building. Otherwise, it will be negated. Hypothesis rejected, accepted, like we will do it. So we continuously test. Please remember, experience cycle will happen continuously. So this is okay. And then so then from this, whatever we got the earlier construction statement, they will be accepted or rejected. Now, another one is, so for example, these constructs of different things put together will form one bigger construct. Say, for example, good father, a responsible one, or love, affectionate one, caring one, and good role model, selflessness towards the family, always present in times of need, and provide the basic necessities. These are good father. The constructs, if one forms from his experience, then what is bad father? Irresponsible, abusive, not caring for children, bad role model, selfish, always, most of the time absent from the home, failure to provide needs to the needy at the home. This is how the constructs are formed and organized. We will discuss about the organization. I will post that. That is not there properly in the book. I will post. So what are the different
Yeah,
rules?
sorry to disturb, sir. That's I just wanted to tell that only. Like last time you have shared the slides. If you can share it now, we will refer and listen to the lecture, so it will be more effective,
See
if
there.
possible.
Yeah, what is not there in the book, I am posting it. Don't worry, I will post it. So the corollaries now. So there are certain rules to frame predictions and testing. So what are they? He calls them as corollaries, and nothing but statement that follow from a proven postulate or a fundamental postulate. Now, what are the 11? The construction. People always anticipate events and by interpreting them. These are there in the book, page number 162. So 11 corollaries are there. I will briefly touch it and then we'll go later. Then individuality, each person constitutes events differently. Unique set will be there for every individual. Then organization, I will post it before discussing that one. This is most important corollary, third corollary, and experience, seventh corollary are very, very important. I will post it, just copying it. MSc Psychology. Yeah. Just I have posted, please look at this. You can enlarge that. So generally, this prediction is easy when we are exposed repeatedly to particular event or with a particular nature of the interactions. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it may not. So this how we organize. Once you get a friend, a new reportee at the office, and we are first time interacting. From the past experience, you try to arrange the thoughts or your predictions of that person based on your previous experience, past. Here, first you say that you see and you judge whether he is friendly or unfriendly, depending on how he talks, the way he interacts, the way he shook your hand, the way he put a hand on your shoulder, and talking about personal issues. So many sharing of the things will give you an opinion. Depending on your past experience, you decide whether he is friendly. You predict whether he is friendly in the first event, he is friendly or unfriendly. Second one is, you may think that all the friendly people are talkative. That may be wrong. And you may think that unfriendly people are quiet. That will give wrong impression or wrong prediction. And you will fail in the next event. Depending on the information, you may either fail or succeed, but mostly you will fail. That's why he says that there should be organization. You have to decide what you are interested in, whether it is friendly, unfriendly. Just only for every construct, there are two opposites. I told that here, friendly, unfriendly are two poles, dichotomous spectrum, friendly, unfriendly. Here, what is important for you? Talkativeness is important or friendliness important? That you have to decide. That will become your most important character. That you call the interested, in which you are interested, is called as superordinate. Superordinate character. What is that one? Friendly, I say friendliness is important, then I say friendly and unfriendly. Earlier, from friendly, I have directly decided that a friendly person is talkative. So he is talkative. Friendly talkative is the prediction, my prediction. But from friendly, you can have both talkative and quiet. Suppose you are more talkative. If he is friendly, he will be allowing you to talk. So it doesn't mean that he is not talkative. That's why he says that from superordinate, the subordinate, talkative and quiet should be put under that. So you have to consider both. You cannot leave the other part, the other pole, because it's bipolar. For unfriendly also, talkative and quiet will be there. As time passes, you get exposure, and even this prediction will be either confirmed or rejected. This is how we organize it. So you say that for organization, you have to take both poles, and under each pole, the first subordinate pole, you have to put both poles under that. That is talkative and quiet. And subsequently, you have to reject any one of them. That is what he says. Whether you have to make it friendly talkative, friendly quiet, unfriendly talkative, or unfriendly quiet. Suppose your interest is you are you are worried about highly talkative people because you are there consuming your time. You don't want. You want only quiet person. Then what happens? Your subordinate pair will become top one. You take talkative and quiet on the top, and below that you make friendly and unfriendly as the subordinate. This is how you make it. And ultimately you decide after some experience, you decide a particular person is talkative, friendly, talkative, unfriendly, or quiet and friendly, or quiet and unfriendly. But it is also subject to change because it is a continuum process. Life is a continuum, and uncertainties are there. He said this construction, organization corollary says this construction process is a progressive evolution, don't happen all of a sudden at a time. It is a progressive process. also says that whatever you decide in the first moment or second moment, that those decision modifications, they are not final. They are not perfect. They are not stable. So depending on different situations and events and their behavior, it may change. So there will be constant process of reconstruction. With what? Your experience. Experience could be nothing but testing. With the experience, you get the data through your senses, by observation, by touch, by hearing. So you will decide that this is main concept of organization. Generally, you will get this in the examination. Okay, coming back to this type of organization. Now coming back to the fourth one, dichotomy is there. For every construct, there are bipoles, just you have seen. Fifth one is the choice. We already discussed that. There will be multiple construct bipoles will be there. That is your choice, whether which one to make subordinate, which one to make superordinate. That is your choice. That is your freedom. Then says that there are innumerable alternatives, and each construct has certain limited range. Sorry, not innumerable. Each limited range, and we have to focus on that. Then says that experience is nothing but the testing. The constructs are changed in the light of experience. What is modulation? Modulation is nothing but subjected to altering or dropping. There are three things can happen. You can drop it, you alter it, or adopt a new decision. Then fragmentation is the constructs seen as compatible or incompatible. They could be fragmented. Sometimes they are incompatible also. We should not test incompatible hypothesis, impossible hypothesis. That's what leads to psychopathology. That is what it says. So communality is the 10th one. Communality says in a group of people, the communication-based similar constructs could be there. That leads to friendship, interpersonal relations, harmonious interpersonal relations. Sociability says that once the social and cultural aspects are the forces which make you form more or less similar construct among all the cultural people. So if you are going against their culture, then you may experience cultural shock. This is about his fundamental postulate. Always write the personality construct theory. First thing is fundamental postulate. Human nature, then fundamental postulate, and then corollaries to construct the constructs. Okay, next he says that, so this hypothesis always changes, we have seen that one. Another thing is we should be ready to change our false or inappropriate predictions or constructs about others. If we won't change as per the factual facts, that world, reality, objective reality, then that leads to unpredictable behavior and distress and psychopathy. That is what he says. Then also says from these corollaries that relatively stable pattern of behavior is due to relatively stable pattern of construing the world or constructing constructs or making the constructs. But if say two people form the construct and experience the same, if their experiences are the same, then experiences leads to testing. Testing leads to confirmation. Confirmation leads to accepting particular behavior of others and the fact. So if the constructs and experiences are same for the two people, then they have same behavior. Otherwise, generally, we don't have same behavior. Then one individual is unique. So people with a similar construct become the friends. So they will have similar personality. They could have people who are construing the world in similar manner will have similar personalities. Culture is a group of people who construe same manner. Otherwise, cultural shock. This also I will post in the group. Just one. You have to write with the corollaries, general results. Why we make friendship? What is cultural shock? All this. Now comes constructive alternatives. How the process goes on. When a particular person, new person comes, new event comes, the construct is not there in you regarding the maybe job, maybe work, maybe marriage, maybe people, ladies, gents, maybe regarding the dog, maybe cat, to whom you fear. That all these elements, when new things are coming and things are changing, then you have to alter your construct. That is called as constructive alternativism. So this is the constructive reality that drives our behavior. Unless and until we won't change our constructs or the predictions or confirmed facts, we will be having psychopathology. That's why every construct or interpretation of the world is subjected to revision and replacement. This is called as constructive alternative nativism. Alternativism. Please remember. So if your construct should be flexible, otherwise flexible constructs are subjected to altering. That's why alternativism. If you are inflexible, then are incapable of revisiting your opinions or thoughts or the predictions, then he cannot cope up with the new situations. That's why he is bent upon this concept. So facts and events do not dictate, but the testing will decide. Your testing, subject to testing and interpretation will decide it. So we are always consistently faced with the alternatives. So we explore them, evaluate them, and then take it up as the final. So if we are changing our construct for the betterment, that means our experiences are changing. Once you are changing your experiences and exposures, it is called as you are learning new things. Learning new things always for the betterment towards the goals is called as growth mindset. If you are closed, not changing your opinions, thoughts, beliefs, constructs, decisions, then it is stable mindset. So here he says that if you are, because you are having free will, you should exercise the freedom to change for the better. What change? Change your constructs. Otherwise, the ill-formed personal constructs leads to mental ill health. So how to change it? I would say it is there in the book. It is called as CPC cycle, page number 164. The first one is circumspection. Circumspection phase, there are three phases. Circumspection phase says that you will evaluate available bipolar constructs, just like other person we have talkative, good, bad, reserved, open, friendly, unfriendly, cruel, good, liar, honest, something like that. You will collect all the information, all bipolar constructs built into that particular stimulant, and then evaluate them. Then after evaluating, you have to choose the relevant construct using your free will. That is called as preemption phase. Before final testing, this preemption means before final testing. But when you face the situation, you try to test it. That is also called as validation. So, for example, in our book, it has given a person comes for the donations. Then you will have a construct, the subordinate, superordinate or subordinate paid. That is, whether the person who came for the donation is honest or dishonest. Then comes your subordinate paid, bipolarity, that is worth of giving, unworthy of giving. Then, depending on that, if you think that it is honesty, the person who came is honesty, purpose is worthy, then you will donate. This is what control phase. So depending on that, your action will be established. This is called as CPC cycle. Just like as we have seen earlier, the experience cycle. This is constructive alternativism cycle, CPC cycle. Now, this is over. Next, the next one is regarding the dimensions of transition. Once you face new situation, new people, new stimulus, it may be fearful or joyful, whatever it could be. When they are new, they are not there in your armor of the constructs, then it leads to three things. He says, one is guilt, hostility, anxiety. He says that these are not only the worrisome points, but they are also opportunity. Just like stress, use stress is there, which is it gives opportunity. Just like that, here also it provides opportunity if they utilize them properly. That is what he says. What is guilt? Suppose you say that world is full of cow-like people. That means credulous. Easily we can cheat them or deceive them, and you can steal money or deceive them, or whatever you want, you can get it. Your construct about the world is cow-like people. But in you will try to deceive others. You are unable to deceive. So it is against your prediction. You are failing frequently, continuously failing to deceive others. Then you realize that something wrong. I am guilty. That guilt feeling will be there. So that you are alienated from his core constructs. This is the first element, he says. Second one is hostility, says that you think one thing, and outcome will be different. And quite a different outcome is coming every time. Not one time or two times. Repeatedly you are failing. Then you are supposed to modify under the alternativism. You are not changing. Then comes the hostility. You will lose faith. You will start reacting with hostility against others. First one is you imagine one thing or predict something, you fail to get that result, then you feel the guilty and you realize it and feel the guilty. Second one is repeatedly failing, you are supposed to modify, you are not modifying, you will become hostile. Then third one is new situation that is not there. You never had a construct on that, no decision or no prediction, no hypothesis in your armor. Now comes the anxiety. He says that this anxiety, if this anxiety make you drive you towards two directions. One is either expand your construct, create new one, or try to constrict, go for narrow sense of understanding others. Then this anxiety leads to psychopathy. Then another thing he gets is threat. When a new construct is there, that causes you threatened. Like there is a lizard, there is a dog, ferocious dog. Immediately you feel threatened. Then under this, but you cannot avoid. You know that they are unavoidable. But after some time, you are supposed to change. your constructs or form a new construct. Then it leads to two drives. One is it may create a tendency to give it up or facing it. That means you never go to that person or that particular stimulant, or regress to the old and past constructs to avoid the panic. So you will change or give it up. You won't approach, or you will give it up and forming a new construct and adopt the old construct of fear. You maintain that fear. So this leads to psychopathy. Now comes what is happening here is, for this psychopathology, the causes he analyzed. The four things are the threat, anxiety, hostility, and guilt. Now psychopathology says that once that particular patient comes, it is the patient who has to determine what construct to alter, what construct to drop, what construct to create new. So he says that this type of psychopathology comes from three things. One is you are stubbornly outdated and you are not ready to change, fearing the validation may cause you harm or pain. Second one is you test the unreasonable hypothesis and you feel that you are failing. And frequently you reject the legitimate results. Suppose I think that my friend is very honest, and subsequently I came to know that he is deceiving many people, taking loans and not repaying, so on and so forth. Then you are supposed to reject or this distorted legitimate, accept the legitimate result, and you should not give money to that friend. But if you believe that the friend is good, you will lose the money. Third one, he says that you refuse to amend the old construct or theory or hypothesis. Then sometimes you create a wall around you, impregnable construct. You say that it is immutable. No, it cannot be changed. This we see in cultural groups. They won't change. So they are put to loss in terms of employment, in terms of education, in terms of schemes and liberation movements or the social schemes. Second one is impossible construct. It makes you repeatedly fail. So incomplete construct, that means you are not taking both the superordinate and subordinate constructs. Those who take only two will fail, because once you take two on the top, two in the bottom, and compare one with other, experiment, then you won't lose. You will become more objective. This is what he says. For these people, he developed three assessments. One is interview, asking them where the problem, where the construct went wrong. Second one is called as, I will post this one. I think it is not there in the book. This therapy is very easy to implement, I will tell you. Okay. Now you see here, he says that the client is, this is called self-characterization sketch. Client is asked to write a sketch on himself about his roles, his constructs, with respect to other people with whom he is dealing with. Here, if he is unable to write it, then we will ask him, entire thing is a drama, and you are the prime lead actor in that this entire episode, and you are having a relation with this group of people whom you are told, And what is that you are predicting about them? What is the regarding their behavior, their character, their personality, their nature, their different issues. This is what we ask them to sketch. You can also write it about your family members who have differences or getting repeatedly getting failures or cheated. So this is one element. After interview, you made self-characterization sketch. The second one is called role construct repertory, REP. It is about important persons only. It is not told by anybody. We have to uncover it. Apply. It is applied to very, very close people with you. So that will give general construct method, your construction method of the constructs, and why you are failing and where you are failing, what you need to change for better life, how to get rid of the cycle. It can be done for depressive people, anxiety people, stress people, guilt people, grief. All these aspects you can use it as a therapy. Then there will be a grid called as a repertory grid technique is used. They will prepare depending on the roles. They will prepare a chart of these experiences and the construct, and we need to pick them and compare them between the people. One people with what construct you have with one people. There are three main important people. What you construct you have with A, with B, with C, and you will try to construct, compare and construct a repertory of your constructs. Then what happens? Now we have seen the healthy person will have integrated method or healthy method of constructing the personal constructs. And then unhealthy people, we have seen three conditions. For that, what is the method of assessment we have seen. What is the therapy he proposed is called as fixed role therapy. He says the technique in which client act out constructs appropriate for a fictitious person. There will be, we will call some person who is not, with whom you have no relationship, but we suppose that that particular brother-in-law, father-in-law, son-in-law, whatever relations, problem, husband, wife, children, that you try to construct, act out the constructs you have with them as a preliminary attempt. The purpose is so that the purpose is to help client change their outlook on the life. That is personal construct. First, within the relative security of the therapeutic setting, that means within the clinic, you will do it. Then in the environment where in the house where you are having a problem with modified constructs or expectations about others, you will be behaving continuous over a period of several weeks and then come for the review. In the mean process, he will be forming new constructs and implementing them. This is about the entire theory and therapies developed. Ultimately, there was a lot of research that these constructs are stable and then they are frequently and widely used in the complex scenarios because constructs are complex. So construct system can process more information, and spouse and the two spouses who are having construct similar will lead happy married life. This is another research. The schizophrenic people, that means psychosis, having psychosis, when away from reality, they cannot understand the real world, real relationship, real persons. So they fail to construct, have these constructs properly. Also say that there is a concept called as cognitive complexity. The persons who are having cognitive complexity means they have ability to perceive differences among people. Those who have this skill are perfectly using their constructs and leading good lives because they get more empathy and they will be less authoritarian. So this is what is the result and validation about this theory. Now we'll see the next half of the Kurt-Levin's field theory. So questions given are: discuss Kelly's personal construct theory, describe CPC cycle, describe note on psychological problems of the given by Kelly, and what is constructive alternativism. All these things detailed I discussed. You should, if you get this question, you should score marks. So now the Kutil-Levin's field theory is very difficult to understand even for common man. Leave the common man, very difficult for psychologists. Why it is difficult? We will see that this. Let me. I try to post this. Very simple, but it took a week to prepare. Levin's theory. May not get question in the exam, but very interesting. Kutil-Levin's field theory. Just I posted a logic because I have taken from the book only most of them. Okay, let us Levin. Before that, let us discuss. Levin is basically a sociologist, scientist, sociologist. He is called as father of modern social psychology. Sorry, not social psychology. Father of modern social psychology. He pioneered many scientific works and he worked on many social issues, group dynamics, organizational development, so many on topics he contributed. What this personality theory, unified personality theory of Kutil-Levin? Kutil-Levin is influenced by Einstein and electromagnetic forces, gravitational forces, how they influence the relationship with the object and the earth. That concept he extended to psychology. And Einstein gave field theory, the same field theory name he used for personality. He published it as a dynamic theory of personality. And he is influenced by Gestalt therapists. We already told Gestalt therapists are those who think that we should not look at partial elements of any concept or a phenomena. Integrated look one should have to understand a particular phenomenon. For that, they say that the whole is greater than sum or total of the parts. This he has taken the personality, try to implement it in his theory. He is also influenced by influenced by Freud regarding the psychoanalysis. And Merono is the person who gave the play model. He is also influenced that. He influenced Abraham Maslow, Bronfenbrenner, and the Gestalt person who gave Gestalt therapy, that is Ridgepel. So his original contribution is, even though he is inspired by many people, his original contribution is the field theory. He says that behavior is not only a result of individual person, but also the environment. He is the earliest persons to tell it. This is his original contribution. So later he extended Gestalt therapy to the human behavior. And he also advocated action research model. What is the action research model? Along with the theory development, you also start implementing it. It happens in social schemes, governmental schemes. big projects what they undertake, they simultaneously evaluate cost benefit analysis or modifications to the scheme. They start implementing and doing the analysis also. 1 minute. So now we'll see this. I try to tell it briefly, but maybe somewhat difficulty will be there in explanation. Please look at the first picture. He says that before that you write a few things. You please write it down for easy understanding. There is a life space for every person. Life space includes, even graphically also, life space includes person and psychological field. Psychological environment. Sorry, psychological environment. And around this psychological environment, there will be physical and social worlds. So, human being, a person, and his psychological environment put together called as a life space, also called as psychological universe. The physical and social world is called as non-psychological world, also called as foreign hull.
Please repeat, sir. Please repeat.
Human beings are the personality, or a person and his psychological environment. Person is P, psychological environment is E, capital E. Put together is called as life space. Also called as psychological universe. Person, psychological environment. Put together is called as life space or psychological universe. Around this psychological universe, outside this psychological universe, the world is called as physical world and social world. It is called as non-psychological area. One is psychological, another one is non-psychological. In non-psychological, two things, physical world and social world. Non-psychological area is called as foreign hull. Error. Is it okay? Shall I continue?
Non-psychological area or?
Called as foreign hull. That is there in the diagram.
Okay, sir.
And in the person, there are two areas. One is inner personal. Around the inner personal, there is perceptual system and motor system. I will explain that diagrammatically. Once you clear on this, you can easily understand the flow. Now we have seen psychological universe in which person is there, is psychological environment. In the person, there are two things again. Inner person encircled by motor system and perceptual system. inner circle encircled by motor circle area, that is motor circle, motor system and perceptual system. This is called PM area. PM area. P means perception, M means motor. There are two systems in that. Both are independent. They are not dependent on one another. What is the inner person is called as IP. Now, P we know, E we know. P means person, E means emotion, psychological environment. Within the person, there is IP, interpersonal, and above that, around that is PM, perceptual and motor systems. What is there in the P? P is having complex energy that drives us, releases energy, gives energy to inner person, and then to psychological environment. So what is there? What it cares? It cares needs, beliefs, values, abilities. This is regarding the person. They are part of it. A person other than person is non-person. Other than person. What is non-person? It includes psychological environment and foreign help. Non-P, it is called as non-P. Non-P includes psychological environment and foreign help. What is there in inner person? It is having tension and processes to fulfill the needs and other things. What is there in the perception and motor? Perception is perceives a fact at a time. It is a system that perceives a fact or stimuli at a time. One stimuli at a time. Motor system is having ability to act. It also acts one action at a time. What is there in, now we have seen what is P and non-P. We will see what is psychological environment now. In the psychological environment, there will be actions. These actions are related to whatever needs are there, they get reflected here in the form of their work. They are, if you want to do a job, how to do the job, if you want to play, which one to play, which game to play, whether it is chess, kabaddi, kho-kho, cricket, football, basketball, something like that. Then emotions, so many emotions are there, fear, love, affection, so many things are there. That all these are reflected here as the processes. Then what it is having here, valency and vector. What is valency, vector are functional parts. What is just valency is positive or negative attitude towards the goal. For example, you see a dog, fearful dog. Your positive valency, if you like it, attract it, you go to it. Negative valency, if you won't like it, you fear it, get away from it. That is valency. What is the vector? Vector is whether to act to, whether to give force, that it gives force to act and gives sufficient strength to act. So this force coordinates with the need that is there in the person. So these are in the internal parts. Just I have given a structure. Why so much complication type of notation, that we will see. Just a brief introduction I will give, then we will explain this. Now he says that, no, I don't want to explain in terms of words. It is very difficult. Human being, there are so many facts are there around the world, around the human being. If you go on conceiving all of them, very difficult to explain. So let me explain through topology. That means it is an expression in terms of relationships in the geometric map form, right? Diagrammatic representation or a road map. We also use the word road map of topology. So then he says that so many things are there. In order to define a personality, I will express, I won't define in words, but I define in terms of topology. Diagrams I will, through the diagrams I will explain. That is what he says. So he says that in this unified field, he is also influenced by Gestalts. The Gestalt therapy. Gestalt will be, the approach says that you have to take all the factors into the consideration. If you want to take, you cannot take without diagrammatic representation mathematically. That's why he says that field theory says field is defined as a totality of coexisting existence of different facts which are conceived as mutually independent, interdependent. So one changes, other changes. The interdependency there, just like variables we know in the research. One changes, it will impact will be there on the other variables as a dependent, independent variables. So behavior is a function of that field wherein different facts, independent facts are there. That's why our behavior is the function of the field in which there is P, non-P, E, that is psychological environment, there is hull, social area, there is the physical area outside, right? So many things are there. That's why he prepared it as a diagrammatic representation mathematically and gave such a structural, it is a structural concept. He gives a structural components are reflected or represented spatially in order to define the concept mathematically. So he applied field theory to psychology and sociology also. In this, we will discuss structure of his personality, dynamics of the personality, and the development of personality. Now we will see that just you see the diagrammatic representation, all of you. First row says what is there in P. The last row says what is there in the non-P. What is there in the P? P is a person bounded by a layer around him. Outside of it, non-P is there. Non-P includes E, that is psychological environment, and foreign hull. In this P, what is there? Complex energy is there. There is a permeable membrane. This permeable membrane is there with the external environment around it. So it will be taking and giving. Permeability is there. Exchanges are there. That's why we call it as an interdependent. It is also called as a mesh. That boundary is called as mesh. Permeable membrane interacts. P interacts with non-P. Next comes in the P, there are two things I already told. Inner personal and perceptual motor system. They are independent. Perception perceives an object one at a time, and motor acts one at a time according to its ability. This person needs are there. It tells to the inner personal, come on, you process. Then inner person, next slide, if you see that number of regions in the P. Suppose I want to play football. I want to eat. There are two requirements are there. Which is important? Eating is important. My need is food. Then that will become center of that cell. For each area, for each desire or each task to be performed, you will have area specified, region specified, demarcated. So if you have 100 tasks, 100 areas will be there. Once they are fulfilled, their areas are merged and homeostasis is established. The inner personal will create a tension in order to achieve that eating of the food. Eating food and playing games, eating food becomes center cell and peripheral cell will be less priority task. These tasks are also called as facts. So for each of the personal fact that is created, whether it is food or the game, for that corresponding area is allocated. Energy allocated, area is allocated. Energy allocated by P, tension is created by IP, tension is created as a drive to act. So some areas are allocated in the inner person into center and peripheral. These areas again interact with these areas through the the perceptual and motor skill interact with the environment. So this environment, now we come back to here, lower layer, where it is non-P is there. Psychological environment, depending on your work or the play or eating, different aspects it will take up. Valence vectors are allocated to it. And then number of areas, here number of tasks are also emerge. So that will be, again, this psychological environment. For each task, there are, for one corresponding to the inner personal task, there will be corresponding area allocated in the psychological environment. That is differentiated in terms of areas. If you have 10 tasks, 10 areas are allocated. 10 subtasks are there, then sub-regions are allocated. You want to play game, one region is allocated. There are 3 games, chess, football, and basketball. 3 sub-areas are allocated, there and here also. Eating food, eating food is major area. You want to eat laddu, you want to eat bundi, you want to eat some sweet or kara, whatever may be, idli, dosa, or something. These sub-areas are, these sub-areas are equal, all are alike here, unlike center peripheral are not there in the differentiated environment. There in the PM, you are having, in the IP, you are having peripheral and central differentiation. They are here, they are alike. So for every fact or a task, one region is allocated. Every new task, a new region is allocated. For every subtask, one sub-region is allocated. This is force and valence is also written here. Then what is this unified field? Permeable membrane, if you see this environment, P is not directly interacting with the hull. Rather, what is a psychological environment is directly interacting with the psychological and directly environment with the interacting with the foreign hull. This psychological environment will be interacting with the P. P will be interacting with the perceptual and motor skills. Motor skills will be interacting with the inner person. Please see the flow. There are certain untouchables are here. If you see that how the path is going on. Now the behavior is determined by the psychological universe, that is P and E, that is person and psychological environment, not the foreign hull. But we have to take foreign into any changes in the foreign hull in terms of physical world, just like cyclone, earthquake, something like that, social events, it will change your entire personality at that moment. We cannot take the foreign hull as easy. So to predict a behavior at any point of time, we have to know how many facts or regions are there in IP, how many regions are there in E, that is psychological environment, one should know. So studying this foreign hull is called as psychoecology. So sometimes it can drastically alter. The function is, P is function of E, that is person is function of psychological environment. Psychological environment is function of the P. Behavior is function of P and E because there is permeable membrane interdependence, communication is there. This is about the structure of the personality. The spatial representation is there because differentiation, different parts are divided in this area. Theoretically, that's why it is called heterogeneous structure, not a homogeneous structure with dependencies. Okay, this is tomorrow we'll see about the functioning and development and behavioral therapies, whatever we can cover. First, we will cover solar and if time permits, we will see other rest. Okay. Now we will close. Time is over.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Can we disconnect?
Yes, sir. Okay. Oh. Oh.